does.
Yes, it does. 2 days after No Name Nationals, I'm finally going to get back on the Chambler. So I got to kind of pick up where I left off and undo some of the things I was trying to do as a quick fix. What you're likely going to see is one complete video of me doing everything that's left on the car, at least for the version 1, which is going to be finishing the trunk, leveling the suspension, getting it running and driving and, you know, all that stuff. I'll pull the trunk pan out and start to figure out where I need to actually go to really correctly, or as correct as humanly possible, get the trunk working so I can actually put stuff in it. This pan's still going to work, but there's definitely things I have to do around it, and I have to figure out a way to correctly connect it to the sides, or the rear fenders. Everything's kind of a mess back here. Gonna get all the wiring out of here, and I need to figure out where all my tools went, because a lot of stuff got kind of mixed around with everybody helping towards the end. Stuff like this I can still use, at least the surround, but got to get the wiring out because it isn't doing me any favors at the moment. That's for the license plate light. These old sockets are trashed. I'm going to do something custom, and I need to have a place to start. Well, that's all the wiring out of the trunk. I'm on the driver's side rear, and I have to figure out what of this I'm just going to leave alone because it's so bad, and just find the best material I can stick things to, and what I have to fix, because there's some really messed up junk under here. I'm definitely going to have to address the filler neck for the gas, because it's going to come in through the rear inner fender into the bore, into the tank. So I've got a nice bit of steel on either side, so what I'm going to end up doing is making a flange piece. It's going to be a little different than this, but I just made a test piece. And I will panel bond and likely I might rivet it, but I doubt it. The edge is going to end here, and then it'll connect down with another piece and go from this side all the way over to here. I'm going to cut all this crap out of here as tight to the fender as I can. These fenders are flimsy. There's no structure left in it, and this is just too bad, and I don't want to spend the next 3 hours trying to remove this beep. Went ahead and cut these pieces. I can learn the length for each side of the car. The body is coped, so I went ahead and notched them. I bent them. I'm going to go ahead and pin them, clamp them in place, and then I'll weld these together. And it'll give me something that matches the car, so it'll hopefully keep the body lines. I panel bonded the angle iron in here at 7 p.m. last night. It's now 3:30 the next day. I think it's finally set. That's my fingers. Just time to pull the band-aid and see what happens. Here goes everything or nothing. Oh, that felt fantastic. No, so far so good. Well, let's see what happens in just a second here. I think we've got a winner, at least on the driver's side. Let's see how the passenger side does. There was basically no structure left on the passenger side, so hopefully this will also strengthen it. We'll take the seat clamp out now. I really didn't want to spend another $70 on clamps, but it's one of those things you'll have in your toolbox, I guess I can tell myself. And the biggest area that could be a problem, and it's not. That's awesome. The main trunk floor is in place. I'm going to have to fit it as I go, but let's get the welding in. I got the main floor section welded in last night to all the seams, a little bit of panel bond to help with any rattles, and now I'm working on the outer sections, a little cardboarded design. Either going to have to fix that giant dent or cut it out and make another section, because that whole area is going to have to be massaged. The passenger side piece is fit. Everything's ready to go. I ended up having to trim this inner fender area up to meet this line. I'll address it once I get the panel in here, and the whole thing is just a mess. This whole inner fender is loose, so my best bet is to do as much as I can to make it strong without being overly crazy, because I don't want it to crack or damage itself. So get the weld. Ow. I'm also going to take my time and do as much as possible to cool each weld off that touches the angle iron. I don't want any heat affecting the panel bond. I got both the passenger and the driver's side outer panel for the trunk end. I ended up having a panel bond the rub strips for the tank end because the 3M adhesive just couldn't handle the heat from me tack welding everything in place. So let's see how well these did. Seem like they're going to be fine. It's just to protect the tank, because the tank is plastic and everything under here is steel. Also got some other tricks I'm going to try once I get the tank in here, but I've got a lot more floor to put in first. I'm in the shadows. And check out Does on Special. He's always in our live streams. He's an awesome dude. Fun having around. Got a great sense of humor. So definitely go check him out if you haven't already. I'll try to link him below. I'll remember, so it'll be in there. So go check them out. So I've got the 3 pieces done to finish the passenger side. So it's this little cap, this part that goes here, and this panel goes in here. Passenger side is completely done. And then working on the driver's side and get everything in place. It's definitely going to be a little bit different than the passenger side. It's just the way it is because of the way everything's shaped. I also made these little caps that go in the corner, and they fit inside the corner in here. Everything is going to get a healthy dose of seam sealer and possibly panel bond depending on how far it goes, but it'll get all nice and sealed up so there won't be any structural issues, or at least shouldn't be. I've been trying my luck at figuring out what to do about the rust on the roof. It's all surface rust, but I'd like to clean it up and at least have it look more presentable because I'm not going to have a headliner. I've tried 3 products and 2 of them utterly suck. The Loctite brand rust converter sucks. The Duplicolor brand of rust converter, yeah, it sucks. It's also still full, so I'm not going to throw it. I've had the best luck so far with the Rust-Oleum rust converter. It's doing a much better job than the other stuff does. I'll go give you a little close-up, and then I'm going to keep doing everything around here. I've got to do this because the weather's moving in, and I've also been doing work on 3 cars at once. The Cherokee, the Comanche, and the Chambler. Everything with a C. We'll go ahead and finish working on this, and I'll start seam sealing everything in the back for the trunk area, except for where I'm putting the hose through for the filler neck. And this Rust-Oleum stuff seems to really be doing a much better job. I'll end up priming everything up and painting it as I go, trying to get it back to the same color, at least for the lower trim. I've ground all the welds down. I'm going to hit everything with a little bit of spray weight to get everything cleaned up, hit the top with a seam sealer, and then I'm going to do the same on the bottom side. Well, I took an entire tube of seam sealer, but the trunk is done. That's everything in the trunk that I need to seam seal. Once I decide how I'm going to run the tube for the filler neck, I'll get a patch panel or some kind of plate that's removable here and fill that gap in the wheel well, and also make some type of removable panel for there as well. Now my friend Jason's coming over. We're going to attempt to use the porta power to push the floor up off of the transmission so I can get everything hooked up and all the junk out of there. See how that goes. I have got to clean all this crap out from underneath the car so that I can lay under it and, you know, stuff. I don't get all this stuff in my hair. Go with stuff. Well, this is the first time I'm going to try to lift the car up with a jack since I've converted it into a car. Let's see how it goes. So far, so good. Another pump or 2 and throw some jack stands underneath it. Never stops. These jack stands are awesome for taller trucks, but they definitely make you have to get stuff up. I'm going to have to get a shorter set. Putting it back down on the tires on the jack stands should give me an idea of where the ride height is going to be and hopefully allow me to see at least the first stage of what I need to cut to fit the tires. Rivet body, I'm real surprised. Well, let's see what it looks like. He basically pounded this entire floor section down onto the transmission and cut a lot of the wiring. It's going to be kind of hard to tell, but he crushed the selector for the transfer case. So basically, I don't even think this thing would drive if I could get it until I get this floor section off. Coming up by the driver's seat. Yeah. Off a lot. There you go. Keep going. It's going to spring back. Keep going. You gotta go where it needs to be anyway. We're probably going to do it in pieces, but I want to see how well this does and then move it around and let it down. Pull back about 1/8 of an inch. No, and it's just the start, so I'm going to start at the back now. More. Oh hell, that's almost back to factory. And here we go. Now, I'm trying to see if I can get the wiring out of here now as it is. That would be the biggest benefit at the moment. Oh, yep. All right. This wiring has a lock on it. Should be able to pop that free and then pull this connector apart and hopefully get the harness out of here. Using that porta power made a humongous difference, at least for all the back half area. I'm going to have to see what I can do once I get the transmission dropped down a little bit, and maybe I can move a little bit more, but at least we were able to get the four-wheel drive selector freed up as well, because that was jammed before. It's also still broken, but at least it's, you know, free. Well, it's time to drop the transmission cross member and pull the transmission down a bit. Hopefully I can have enough space to get the wiring and get the bits of floor that are still damaged up and off of it. I'm going to have to be sort of careful because this bolt is not happy, so I'm going to spend forever going back and forth with it, trying to get it to loosen the junk in the frame, because I don't want to have to repair the frickin' frame threads. I'm kind of over repairing this car at this point. I haven't even driven it yet. Not sure if the camera's going to pick it up. There's a lot of crust coming out of there. I think I finally have it moving. You can see it's getting there. Ugh. That little guy is crusty. Oh, there's a floor jack supporting the trans as well. Now let's get the passenger side. Well, the passenger side has been exactly the same as the driver's side so far, but knock on wood, this is slowly coming out. Yeah, one's pretty crusty as well. Oh, let's see how this goes. Start to hopefully gently lower it down a bit. Shouldn't need a ton. Just worried about that pipe. I might just have to cut the cat off before I do much more, because there's a giant hole in it. The pipe leading to the cat. And I don't technically need a cat with this vehicle anymore at this point. It is technically a 1965. You can't even see me anyway. It's going to be fun to get that back up there. What is that? Oh, it's oh, the whole motor's. Duh. The whole motor's moving. I want to see if I can get my hands up there and get the stuff out I need to get and get access to what I need to get to without having to drop it down anymore. That would be nice. Oh, part of the harness goes up over the transmission. Yeah, transmission dust. Or AKA rust and grit and dirt and who knows what. Oops. Really wish this transmission jack or this jack wasn't right in my way. That would be awesome. I just came to the painful realization that I did not take the harness off my two-door when I parted it out for the transmission. So I'm going to have to see what I can cobble back together, make sure that the stuff that is damaged isn't destroyed, and then cross my fingers that I can still use it. I'm going to use the porta power one spot where the transfer case shifter is on the floor, because I don't think he damaged it permanently when he smashed it all to hell. He just popped it all free. I should have the rebuild parts for that, but I need to get it a little bit more square. It's not too far off, but it's not great. And I'm also going to use my other Cherokee to double check that I have all the wiring that I need back here. I think I'm missing one plug, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to go double check on my green Cherokee. And I'll put all this crap back together that I didn't have to take apart in the first place. But I didn't realize I didn't have the parts until I took it apart, so... Well, it's time to throw this back on, hopefully. I'm going to go try to start the nut on the other stud, and hopefully I can get this back in place. I'm going to have to keep jacking it up to get these to line up, so I'm going to give it a couple pumps, come back over here, and hopefully let everything go. Why didn't you tell me that was too much? I already cleaned the driver's side bolt off. Now I'm going to clean the passenger side off. Hopefully the camera will focus. As I'm doing now, and throw the bolts in. Well, hopefully this lines up. Yeah, that's good. As always, I'm going to start the other side and then I'll get everything tightened up. And I'll torque these afterwards. Got to find the torque spec. This is definitely not a setback. It did waste some time I don't have, but you know, that's relative because I'm the one who decides how much time I do have. What I'm going to have to do now is get the whole thing up on 4 jack stands so that it's up off the ground, figure out exactly where I'm at with the wiring, transfer case, shifter, put the drive shaft in, do everything I need to do anyway underneath here. I was hoping to do it in the driveway, but I'll do it now. I might even lift the suspension. It all depends on how far I get. You don't know that I'm lifting the suspension yet, but I'm pretty sure you can figure it out. Chandler's up on jack stands, enough space so I can actually get up under here. Now it's time to start trying to route all the wiring correctly, theoretically, around the trans. Bluetooth sensor. It would be nice if I had 4 hands right now. Not another person, just 4 hands. I need to clean underneath this thing. It's just an absolute gritty mess. It's gonna be a little hard for you guys to see this stuff, but these are the main connectors for the transmission harness. I need to get them up into the engine bay. The smaller harness has to go back, and I'll try to connect and disconnect what's there, and hopefully this will all work together. And if it doesn't, I'm just gonna have to keep playing with connectors till it does. I hate to do that, but I'm at a point where I just don't have any more luxury of thing and stuff like this. I need to make sure the neutral safety switch, which is right above where the light is actually connected. Otherwise, this is going to go nowhere. Back to the rear of the transfer case again. Let's see about connecting these wires, which means I'm going to have some loose wiring back here as well. But until I know that everything works and runs, it's kind of just the way it's going to be. Awesome. That'll help. I'm going to zip tie everything up along here out of the way of anything that moves or is overly hot like the exhaust, and then I'll see about a ground cable, some other stuff. Then I should at least be able to get this thing to crank over. There's a couple more things I need to connect through the back, and then I can start running the wiring to the back and figure out how I'm going to mount the taillight bucket. That whole thing's going to be an interesting nightmare, but keep going. I'm going to go ahead and put the new bushings and correct the transfer case selector lever here. And I'll show you all that stuff as I'm doing as much as I can. It's kind of way up in there. Let's drop out my little baggie of repair parts I got from Steinjager. I still do have an affiliate link for them. This little guy is what I should be able to put on the arm and hopefully get everything back together for the transfer case so I can maybe actually ship the transmission and stuff. At some point I'll need to rebuild it with all the rest of the parts, but I'm not going to do that now if I don't have to. Take what's left of the old bushing off. There's 2 bushings in that kit. I do believe this is the one for the arm. I might actually have to clean all this junk off of here. Oh, maybe that's not. Okay, grab the other one. Yeah, no, they both are good. All right. There has to be some difference between these two, but I'm not seeing it. Could be the material composition. Don't know. It doesn't look like there's nothing I can see with my eyes without measuring them. So I'm gonna keep going. I have 2 of them, so if I break one, at least I have another one. It is nice. My toolbox is right here. I'm really looking forward to cleaning my garage when this damn Chambler's on it. Yeah, that's not working. I'm gonna use this socket as I'm gonna use that socket as a sleeve. And that's probably the part when I regret doing it this way. Yeah, now it's the part when I regret doing it that way because I just broke it. Well, I guess I'm glad I got 2 of them. So trying to squeeze this thing in here was just not going to happen. So what I've done is made a draw bolt assembly, and we'll see how this works. I do have everything greased, so hopefully this works. Now in theory that's in. Well, now we get to see if it actually shifts. All right, here we go. That's all the way up. No, that probably was bad. Yeah, watch the video and see what happened. I gotta put the drive shaft in for the rear. I don't have time to keep fitzing with this thing. I'll figure out what I'm doing with it. As long as I can get it into gear for now, that's just gonna be what it is, and I'll have to fiddle with that arm or get one of those nice kits or do something like put a bolt through it, which is what I probably should have done to start with, but I mainly selected it without that lever. It's just not fun. Drive shaft on. Well, let's take the baggie off, throw the drive shaft in. I'd love to say it's the same day, but it's actually 3 days later because, you know, stuff happened. Good things to do, places to go. Oh, people see. Here's hoping I measured everything right. So if everything looks good, I'm going to take the plastic wrap off the end here. I did hit this with 3 coats of clear, so hopefully everything just goes smoothly. I cleaned up the straps and the bolts. Just make sure everything starts. Giant mosquito. The weather in Michigan is just weird. Fries are done. I'm contemplating seeing about putting this thing in the World of Wheels, which is in March. I have to see what it actually requires to do that. Never thought about entering a car in a car show before, but you know, it wouldn't be the first time something I've made has been someplace, but it's something I personally own. It's a different story. I'm really a car show guy, but I'm proud of this thing as much of a pain in the ass as it has been. Yeah, I'm gonna torque the shaft bolts. on that guy. I'm gonna end up paint marking all the new hardware that I've installed. It's good practice. That way when you check it in a couple 100 miles or, you know, at the end of the driveway, you at least know if it's moved. That is some fine looking drive shafts. I'm waiting on a few parts to finish the gas tank install, so I'm gonna go ahead and do some of this front suspension stuff because that is kind of a priority. In saying that, I have to move all this crap out so I can get to the front suspension. Well, there's a lot of tools in there from my uncle I need to go through too. I'll have to do a separate video on that because I've gone through some of it, but not a lot of it. Been too busy and stuff. I got an adjustable front track bar from Rancho. It'll go pair nicely with the 3-inch lift springs. That's likely what this is going to end up being in the front. And because I'm trying to do this on as much of a budget as I can because I have no budget, I got drop down brackets from Rough Country that'll drop the sway bar down. So that will sure work. One thing I don't really have a way to do right now is the pitman arm, but everybody seems to say 2 to 3 inches you can leave it alone. I prefer not to, but hard to find one for that short a lift at this point. It should be fine. This is still version 1 of the Chambler, so biggest thing is just get it level, get it, you know, fitting and looking nice, and yada, yada, frickin' yada. I just want to drive it a little bit before I park it for the winter. I'm gonna have to pull the front tires and wheels to do that. I'm gonna have to pull off the hubcaps, or the dog dish hubcaps, whatever you want to call them. Fries are done. Oh, that's crusty. I'm also gonna have to clean everything and just delouse everything, and then I can start pulling the stuff apart. I gotta drop the axle down, so I'll have to likely pull the brakes as well, because the hoses, which are here somewhere, don't want to break them. I've had these 2 rotors here for 12 years now, waiting for a Jeep to actually be able to use them on. And nothing I bought so far is going to do that. So apparently Jeep made a change in 1999 into 2000. And anything 2000 up takes a shorter hat than either of these, so it won't work, won't fit. So yet again, I have 2 full sets of front rotors I can't use. So I'll look for something to do with these piles. So I guess this means I have to buy a 1999 or older Jeep of some sort, because then I have a full brake set for the front too. I can buy 2 cars. My plan was to take the track bar off, but considering that the nut in the top at the ball joint end is completely foobar, I'm gonna have to figure a way to cut it out of there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the sway bar links down because that'll give me a little more room to get a sawzall in there and try to delicately slice that out. The whole thing is just a mess. Well, so everything was going pretty smooth, and then I realized that something was amiss. Yeah, that's the stock bracket, stock hole location. That's the stock hole location. They put a giant washer and probably threaded the frame because they broke the bolt off in the sway bar brackets. So I swear to just a long string of expletives. I'm gonna take this off. I gotta take it off anyway, and I'll figure out where the hell I'm at that point. I swear to Christ. Yeah, there's things you just figured it couldn't possibly be this stupid, but whatever. And drop. There's a slim chance I can drill this bolt out, but oh God, I don't know if I even want to try. Well, it's slicey time, so I'll bring it back because I'm hopefully making progress. Cut about 1/3 of the nut off, but it's probably not going to be enough to get it out, but we'll see. I'm going to try a couple things, so I'll bring it back when I'm hopefully a little farther, and not just pounding against metal for no reason. A little bit of sawzall action finally broke that off. Unfortunately, the cotter key is still in it, so I'm going to have to probably cut the whole stud as well. Well, I cut the bolt about halfway through, and then I was able to shave the cotter key, cotter pin on the back side off, so hopefully it'll actually come down now. I don't have the steam to keep going with this stuff. I think that's about as free as it's going to get until I pull the lower piece, because I think everything's putting pressure on it now. So, work on the next problem. So I hit this little booger with penetrating oil last night, and I'm going to heat up the tang, which is where the nut is, and hopefully get it hot enough that I can start breaking that bolt loose, because these are always a pain. I have to move the camera a bit. I'm going to have to put the steering I have to move the steering linkage out of the way. Guess I didn't need that earplug. I'm gonna heat it up and I'll bring it back. Yeah, I'm kind of over this shit. Now I have to cut it out. Feel better when it's more done or when I'm not doing this dumb crap. Track bar's cut. I'm likely going to cut more of this bar towards the end where the knuckle is, where it mounts the bottom. Rotate the bar down to the ground and hopefully get better access to cut the bolt in half. I've got the bar cut down. It's out of the way. There's enough looseness in here now that hopefully I can get the saw blade in here and cut just the bolt, because nothing likes cutting through these rubber bushings. 3 saw blades later, and it's mostly out. Well, heavy on the mostly, but more than it was before. Well, there's the captured nut. That's just a fantastic design. It's time to pop the springs out. I loosen the retainers on the axle, so should be able to lift it up, take the jack out of the center, and then tilt it either way and pop springs out, hopefully. We'll take the passenger side out first. I might have to pull the arms, but I want to be able to get the impact on it, and I kind of can't with the springs in the way. So this might be a pointless effort, but we'll see in a second. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pull the upper arms first because I'm just lifting off the jack stands. Gonna heat the nut up a bit, and then hopefully I can break these bad boys loose. Here goes nothing. Well, that was easier than I expected. Yeah, you probably couldn't see any of that. Driver's side out. All that room for activities. Put a little tension on the driver's side. Passenger side's out. I have a lot of stuff to clean up in there. I'll show you a little before, and this is the after of the first round of cleanup. I've needle scaled the crap out of the frame, getting all the big loose junk out, and I'm gonna hit it with a ton of brake clean and wipe it all off and get it prepped and ready for at least a quick Craigslist paint job. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna have to come back apart again at some point in the near future. I'm gonna get everything a little farther along. And I'll get that later. I at least want it to be presentable, and I also wanted to make sure I didn't have any structural damage. 4 cans of brake cleaner later, a ton of scrubbing, and a bunch of random stuff in there. Cleaned everything up to the best of my ability. And put the new spring isolators on. I hit them with a little coat of grease at the top to hopefully prevent it from all the squeaking and wear stuff. I was trying to save these springs for my Comanche, but I think these are going to have to get used. They're 3-inch lift springs from Rancho. Got them on closeout at Rock Auto. They're like $50 for the springs. Couldn't pass them up. I knew I'd use them at some point. Now's the some point. It comes with a pretty decent little instruction sheet and torque specs. Just looking real quick, and the part number is exactly the same, so they're not heavier one side or the other. I didn't expect it to be with the Jeeps, but some vehicles will have a heavier spring on one side than the other, depending on vehicle weight and all the other yada 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 parts, components, stuff like that. I'm gonna try to put this side in first because it's tighter. I gotta get my old man rug here. I can't lay on the concrete like you're doing. The hips dislocate.
Oh yeah, not hip for you to do that.
Yeah. You know, like on my live streams, I have a dad joke policy. There's a maximum amount of them.
I thought it was a dad joke policy.
Yeah, that was a dad
Now
joke.
It's a dad. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a dad joke. Sorry, I didn't. No one informed you. I'm pretty sure if your girls were here, they would inform you that's a dad joke. I have to have you run the jack. We might have to move these in with a pry bar. I don't know yet.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah, that is it. I can jack up on this
Just a tiny
side,
bit of little lifty sauce over there.
which might push that. Oh, aha.
That's good. That's
All right.
good.
All right.
Gotta rotate them into the locks. Oh yeah, Derek's here helping me, by the way.
Word.
No, that's
Did it start going?
sort of, but we're at it. Nope. Okay. Okay. We're test fitting the 31s. Now the wheel is going to stick out about another solid quarter of an inch because the brake rotor's on it, but that's mostly a see if it fits thing. It's almost like a real car. Look, everybody. I only have to trim the fender massively.
It would do some fancy lights behind the wheels to show this puppy off.
Yeah, Derek's trying to get all tea and crumpets over here. I just wanted to go through a
We'll go with blue LED.
Yeah, no, I don't have those. Sorry. Put it on the ground and see where it's at. Then we got to take the front jacks out that made us think the ride height was higher in the front. I'm really glad that leaf springs go backwards. That's partly why I put them a little closer up here, because I knew they were going to go backwards. I just put them too close. But I had no point of reference. I'd measured and measured and measured, and it is what it is. Stay off. Beep. Yeah, I understand I have to edit all that out, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's on the ground. That's basically ride height. Yeah, she's pretty dang tall. Yeah, what do you think, Dirk?
Let's take it for a spin. Come on. I don't care if it's 38
we're,
degrees. Let's go. Let's go. You push.
We are, yeah, it's still a Flintstones mobile. It doesn't have Flintstones floor, but it's a Flintstones mobile. Yeah, now he's running away.
Oh no, I'm getting a view from this side too.
Yeah, I should go.
Oh my gosh.
I should go do that.
It's awesome.
I don't know if it really gets conveyed through the camera, but it is does not look like the car that I got about this time last year. Actually, I think I got it in October of last year. I still have a lot of work to do, but it's amazingly different than it was, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It energizes you to move on with the project that's been such a pain in your rear.
Oh, it's been come on, give me the Polish version. It's been a pain in the
dupa.
The dupa. I'm hoping that after I get back from PRI, which is 2.5 weeks from now, which you won't make any difference, I'll just edit this out. I don't even know why I'm telling you, but hopefully it'll be done. So we'll see. Mounted on the Comanche in the backyard. I've got to seal the track bar for the Cherokee because I've got the death wobble issue. That'll be in a separate video, but I've also got to seal the shocks and the steering for the Chambler. So this thing isn't going to be mobile, but there's a reason for it, and I need to do it now. So don't have any more money, so I got to take what I can take. These parts are almost new, so off they come. These shocks are not going to be the right length, but they're better than nothing, which is what I've got on it right. I've already knocked all the steering parts loose, so I'm going to try to take the whole entire steering system out as a unit. Come on. You know you don't want to live here anymore. You want to go in a cooler car. Well, the steering's out. I meant to move the camera and turn the camera off by accident, so there it is. You'll see the track bar on the Cherokee video, so I'll pull that now since I gotta fight the sun and the weather. Started working on the Chambler, and of course every cotter key is, I think they were made out of butter. So I'm just gonna hit this thing on kill and use the impact, just take it off. I'm done playing with this thing. I'll say success. Of course, now I'm gonna try to get that nut out of the socket. No, I wouldn't do that if I was going to save the parts. Cotter pin at the pitman arm wasn't even folded over. It was just being held on by all the goo. Budget for the Chambler is officially, underwater by quite a bit, so I went ahead and expertly refinished the stock brake rotors. I'm going to slap some new pads on it and re-grease the slides and make sure this is all in decent shape and put them in, and it's going to be good enough. Remember, this is version 1. Now I've got the fuel tank in for the second to last time, getting everything fit up. You can see how the gas filler neck is going to come through the floor. And I'm going to have to make a transition over to there. In the process of making the cover plates. I'll go ahead and see what I can do to get the bumper on. I cannot lift it by myself, so I'm going to employ the trans jack and see if I can get it in place. So far so good. Let's see if I can actually get it in there by myself. It's not perfect, but it's very close, and there's a lot of things I'm going to have to adjust. I have to get some different hardware for it, but I needed it to be on there so I could figure out links and measurements and bits and pieces I'm going to need. Now I'm just finishing up the last bit of the fabrication, which should be the last bit of all the fabrication on this car, hopefully, for the filler neck and the wheel well intersection. These brackets were originally used to space out the bumper, and also I'm pretty sure they were actually part of the frame, but they've rotted. I'm going to replace it with this 1 3/8 long combination of spacers, and that'll give me the right distance for the bumper. Go ahead and slam those in there and get the old junk out of there. There's been a lot of Rube Goldberg type inventions like this for this car, trying to find stuff that's readily available or making stuff to make things work, because I'm using hodgepodge bits and pieces from freaking everywhere, and none of the factory stuff really is working or was left to use. So old junk hardware embraces out. Passenger side's done. I'm going to go back to the driver's side. I can tighten it up, then I can start moving around, make sure it's level, and finally cinch everything down for the last time. Now it's time to put this filler neck in, or at least attempt to put this filler neck in. I've got butyl on the seams, so I should be able to smear that in, and it should smear out nicely once I get everything tightened down. And it should always stay soft, so I can pull this on and off if I have to, which I really hope I don't, but you never know. Check to make sure that the hose fits correctly on the bottom. Then I can cinch this down and get this in position tightened. I was trying to do something called hammer finish paint, and it's just not what I wanted, even with the top coat of color. So I'm going to lightly sand everything down with a Scotch-Brite and hit the entire trunk with bed liner coating. And I'll try to color coat it as well. Doesn't look too bad in there. I'll end up trying to top coat it with green, see how it comes out tomorrow. But I want to let it dry fully before I do anything silly with it. Well, that was a lot of fun getting this in, but I at least have it in place. And now I can figure out what freaking length I need it to be. Taillights are dried, so I'm take the hardware out, make sure that the bulbs go into the sockets. Sockets are secure, and then I'll start cleaning these up and getting them ready to install in the body with some new type of seal. Probably butyl, I'm not sure yet. I don't want to make it permanent, so just needed to seal. I just used the hardware to keep the buckets in place. You can see how the panel bond is dried. I think it's going to do a great job of keeping these in here and keeping them weather tight. Just going to work out pretty sweet. We will see. All the paint is fully dried in the trunk, so let's get this crap off here and get the taillights in it. Yeah, that is the reason that I put the tape on them. Time to test and see if my cockamamie idea for the taillights and turn signals will work. Running lights, turn signal. Well, the stuff isn't connected right in the front. It's missing ground. That's why it's faster than normal, but it works. And taillights. Make sure the brake turn signal works. Yep, you can see it. Now, the problem is passenger side wiring harness is messed up, so I'm going to have to pull it apart, start going through it, and see what I can find that's wrong, because we tested it, and it did work when we tested it, but it definitely had some issues, so hopefully I just got to clean the pins up, but I will find out soon. Driver's side taillights work just fine, and I've been trying to figure out what was going on with the passenger side, and it looks like this connector is actually snapped off, so I'm likely going to have to buy a whole other connector because I don't have another one of these. So what that means, I'm going to have to go to the junkyard and snip one out of another car. This is my third brake light. I got this off a Chevy Sonic, or one of those little runty hatchback things. I cut the red lens off of the connector here so I can then sit this flat and not have to make a whole bunch of holes in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on, screw the lens down, and figure out how I'm going to mount it. Well, let's see what happens. That's not good. Hold on a second. Okay. Brakes aren't working at all. I feel like I can see something. I don't know if you can see anything. I have taillights. I don't have taillights. I have issues. I don't have issues. This just never stops. Be back in a minute. Went ahead and ground all the junk off the front bumper brackets. Hit it with what I had left of the Rust-Oleum rust reformer. So let's see what it looks like. Ta-da! There's a lot left to do, but at least I have it roughly in place. And I think it looks pretty cool. I've got to figure out how I'm going to mount it, what kind of brackets I'm going to use, what I'm going to use stock stuff, and start shaping it, because it does need a bumper. You know, for appearances, if nothing else. Now that all the fab work on the brackets themselves are done, I can go ahead and use these two pieces that I made. I'm going to use them to drop down off the frames corners. It's the right spacing to mount the bumper to. I'll blow the holes through into the bumper brackets tomorrow, bolt it up, make sure it works, and I can paint these up and be done with the front bumper. Well, putting the front bumper on, I just hit myself right in the face with the wrench, so apparently I'm bleeding. Yeehaw. And apparently I split my lip open there while I split my face open there. So the custom brackets worked out just fine to mount the bumper to the frame. I had to do a little more massaging on the factory bumper just to clear the bolt head. There's no way around that, but bumper looks good. And it's solid as it's gonna get. Now I can go, tend to my face. It's time to go ahead and name the headlights. So, help actually release the hood, the whole hood. Oh, good Lord. Okay, so I'm gonna figure out why the passenger side doesn't work, and then we'll go from there. I just had to clean up the connector. Now the headlight works. Sometimes. I guess I'll clean it up some more. I'm at least gonna aim them, and then I'll decide what I'm doing with them. Try to permanently fix the headlight. It's not the most scientific method in the whole wide world, but it does tell me if the lights are pretty dang close. And they are pretty dang close. Put the headlight trim rings on and make it look like a car. The rear passenger taillight harness was bad, so I went and got another one at the junkyard, and this one is just as bad. My big problem was that the wiring was snapping out of the old connector, and it did the same with this one that I just got. Thankfully, I didn't pay anything for it, just the entry fee to the junkyard. I'm either going to have to find another connector, which is probably going to be just as bad, try to cobble this one and the one that's in there together, or get another 6-pin connector and just make my own thing. So, yeehaw. Again, these are the wheels I'm going to use on the Chambler. They're stock Jeep wheels for anywhere from about 85 to 97, depending on what you got and where you got it, but they've used it on everything from Cherokees to Comanches to Grand Cherokees, TJs, and YJs. So I'm just going to clean them up. This one is in just about perfect shape, so it's going to just go like that. These two center wheels have a couple dings in them, so I'm going to do what I can to flatten them out. They'll still hold, but I would just prefer to clean them up a little bit. I'm going to clean all the junk off of them and paint them. Likely white, just to have something different. I couldn't find any argent silver like this, and I think white would work well with the age of the car too. So let's get going. So I'm now up to 5 coats, and unfortunately there is a tiny fly that became part of the paint, and I painted over them. I'm probably gonna do one more coat in that spot, but the wheels are pretty much done. Oh, I'm getting ready to trim the fenders. I'm going to start on the driver's side rear. I'm going to make one exploratory cut down because there's 2 layers of steel in here. So I'm hoping to trim this edge and maybe form the inside in and seal it up some. See what happens. I'm worried about sparks hitting the screen of the camera, but it's largely Bondo. It was like a Bondo explosion when I cut into it. So interesting to see what's actually back here. Oh yeah, there's a lot of goo back here. There's a 3/16 layer of Bondo on this whole frick car bottom. You know how thick that crap is. Well, both the driver and passenger side rear fenders are done. I think they look pretty good and they blend in pretty well. Unless you know what you're looking at, you probably won't see it except for maybe the paint differences. Front fenders are going to be a little bit different because of the arc. I don't want to trim it down, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. I think I'm going to come in here where this gold paint marker is and try to sculpt it, but it's not going to be exactly what I want. The future plan is to find a set of front fenders so I can take the front chunk of them off and extend the whole thing, keeping this framework and keeping this lip and everything. Just make it longer so it looks better. These aren't exactly super common cars, but it's worth a shot. It'll look fine-ish. Well, both the front fenders are now done, tires are off, and I'll be taking them tomorrow morning, have them flipped to the new wheels and get all that stuff cleaned up. I'm not super excited about how the front fenders look. I might modify them a little bit more if I find some inspiration, but they'll do what they need to do. I'm just not enthused about the look. I got the wheels and tires back. They look great. I'm glad I painted them white. I think it's going to be a real nice contrasting color. Local tire shop, Leslie Tire, did them for me, which is awesome. To kind of give you a little idea, that's what came on the car. That's what's going on the car. Just a tiny bit of size difference. Got the console body secured with 2 little brackets and self-tappers. It'll hold enough for now. I'm going to put the insert back in and put the lid on it. The floor itself and the inner console mount were so bashed up there was no way to use what was there. This is now the most secure part. The rest is going to rattle like crazy, but hey, at least I can put my CDs and cassettes in there. Went ahead and trimmed this section out of the upper piece of the trim for the dash, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on so it fits around the cluster. Some of the hardware to retain this lower chrome trim is gone. It almost looks like a mostly complete dash now. Unfortunately, there's almost no way for me to get you a whole picture of what the dash looks like because of the steering wheel being in place, but I like it. I need some form of seat belt in the vehicle, and unfortunately all I have right now is this rear seat belt from the Cherokee that I parted out, so it'll work just fine for the front, but I'm going to cut this buckle off because it doesn't do me any good. Also, things with the rear seat escalated a wee bit quickly, and yeah. Went ahead and welded 2 bolts in the upper framework so I can take this on and off. That'll allow me to bolt the seat back into the car. I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the bottom, but then I should also be able to take it out if I need to put something longer in. Heavier than it looks, lighter than it is. Time to go ahead and go through all the electrical issues with the car. Go ahead and put bulbs and everything as a starting point. Grab another bulb for this, which I have. I'm likely also going to remake the positive cable for the battery because it's, you know, might as well do it just to roll that out and then just start going front to back. My friend Keith should be over in a little bit, and he's much more versed in electrical than I am, so hopefully we can knock this out today. Just let me cross them all. Yeah, let's just cross them all. Oh, well, okay, well, let's give this a shot. Key on.
Cycling it a few times, there's a chance to put fuel up.
Yep. Let's look underneath the car, make sure it's not somewhere else. No, I don't see anything. As far as I can tell, I'm hearing the pump. So, getting better or what?
No fuel at all.
Well, watch your hands. Let me see if it'll even crank. The hell is that?
Relay's going crazy for some reason. Try it.
This thing started and drove because it was in the other Cherokee. All the main wiring, unless we damaged something when we put it in.
Try it again. Stop, I see the problem.
Ready?
Yep.
What was it?
Battery terminal. You have a wrench for the positive terminal.
I don't remember which one it is, so let's bring all of them. Which means there's not going to be any of those, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one in the middle.
Okay, what? 3/8. I thought I grabbed a 3/8. Sorry. The hell did I grab? Okay, 3/8. Looking forward to this stuff being done.
I'm an idiot.
5/8? Half inch?
It's in between 7/16 and half.
There's nothing in between.
Oh, it's just rounded off.
Okay, he's making me feel like a complete putz. You know, that's my brand new. I got that for Christmas. You want a hammer?
No, I don't want a real hammer.
You want a Deblo hammer? You want a brass hammer? You want a brass monkey? That funky monkey.
See what she does. No gas.
Well, I smell gas. I'm not seeing any on the ground. Why, your fingers clear?
Clear.
All right, well, why don't you go back there and see if you actually hear the pump? Maybe I was hearing something else. I don't think so. This pump should be good. You ready?
Yeah, I don't think you have enough fuel in it.
There's 2 gallons.
Here, dirt one.
All right. Well, I can just go get more fuel. That's easy enough.
Actually, before you do that, you gotta get a brake feet.
You ready?
Yep. It runs.
Yes, it does. Hot diggity damn.
All right, give me your gas can. I'll go to the gas station real quick.
But I don't have any cash, Keith.
I'm not worried about it.
Keith, that's not the point.
Mike, come with me.
Get to ride in the Subaru, the Shitbaroo,
My ship rule.
in the Hoobie Stank Mobile. It runs, holy shit. Here's the hoping. Key on.
Cycle it some more.
Yep. It sounds different. Huh?
You can try it.
There's like 4.5 gallons or almost 5 gallons of fuel in there.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't have enough gas. I'm gonna have a shit pump.
That would suck. The last thing I want to do is take that gas can or that gas tank out again.
Yeah, well, the 100th time is the charm.
That's about what it is. Okay, well, I don't want to have to buy a pump, but that might be my only option.
Yeah, you're building pressure, but you're not getting any flow up front.
I wonder how the hell it would do that. Or just it's not moving enough gas. You know what I mean? It can't maintain the pressure.
It's what it sounds like. It's cavitating.
Yeah, because if it was a leak or blowout, we'd see it.
Oh yeah, we'd have a pool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, trust me, it would be a fountain. Yeah, in all likelihood, the pump is bad. It's well, we'll see what happens in the yard. It wants to.
It does not.
It wants to. No, it wants to start.
Oh, it's not trying to though. It's not catching.
No, I know. No, the car wants to start.
Oh, yeah,
the
no.
fuel does not want to enable the car to start.
Give me a can of brake clean. We can drive this thing around the block.
Are you gonna hold on to the hood while we do that?
No, you grab that fuel line you got. You spray it in.
So we're going pole barn garage or vice grip where we put a boat tank and zip tie it to the roof and just put it in there.
No, it's even more hillbilly than that. In the dealership, we used to do this. You'd have a long piece of brake line and you had a can of carburetor cleaner. So you get a car in with a bad fuel pump, you don't feel like pushing through 2 feet of bloody snow. You'd route the brake line into the intake and you just spray into the tube out the window and drive it right on in.
It's good to know. Well, so it starts, and now I'll be buying a pump because that's what I want to do is spend another $100.
You're buying a fuel pump. Context.
I wasn't going to be buying a pump. I wasn't going to be buying a power steering pump.
What about a washer solvent pump?
I have several of those. They're just not hooked up, neither are the wipers. And, since we're still doing, I'm going to be editing this together, the thing we were just doing was fuel.
That requires pump fuel.
Yes, that would be the pump that, see, this isn't, I'm not going to put this part at the beginning and put this other second part at the end of the video.
It'd be funnier if you just let off saying, well, damn, I need a pump. Everybody would be thinking.
Yeah, again, these are the people I hang out with and call friends, so I'll see you guys in a while. You can see in the footage yesterday with Keith helped me try to get this thing starting. It starts, but it's going to need a fuel pump, so rather than drop the tank for the 9 millionth time, I'm going to go ahead and cut an access area into the trunk floor. I really should have done to start with, rather than have to go through this now. This ring is the ring off the other tank I have, so I know exactly what size it is. I've done a bunch of measurements, and hopefully I'm right with all my positioning. I'm going to cut this piece out, and then I'll end up making a cover plate out of other material. For the hell of it, after I've gone ahead and done all the other stuff, I'm going to go ahead and try to key the car over, and doubt it's going to do anything, but there was a little pressure in the line, so what the hell. This doesn't make any sense. I messed with it again, and fuel rail had pressure, a lot more pressure, so I'm going to try it again. I'll let it sit for about 5 minutes and see what happens. Okay, I'm not going to take the pump back. I'll end up making a block-off plate for the top to seal up the open hole that I cut in the floor. This pump's going to go out again at some point, if not, well, sooner than later. So this is awesome. Got a couple more things I can do. I can fill it with coolant and take it aside and test it. Holy crap! It's been in here for almost a year. I'm very, very happy. Very, very, very happy. It's finally at that time where it's time to start checking all the fluids. Put about a quart in transmission. Start filling the cooling system. Check that, and then start it. And hopefully nothing goes wrong. Just cross your fingers for me. It's saying it has too much fluid. Okay, so I will keep an eye on that as I'm letting it run. I'll end up changing the oil once it's run and got through a heat cycle. I don't know how long it's been sitting. Everything is over full. Okie dokie. Time to start filling the cooling system. Seems silly to wear glasses, but I am wearing glasses, but I do want to protect my plastic eyes. They weren't cheap. love to say I'm not nervous, but this is a long time coming and there's a lot riding on this, so here's to hoping that there's nothing wrong or leaking or, I didn't do everything myself, so that's part of it. It's been a couple months, been more than a couple months. Everybody that was helping me was more than qualified to do what they were doing. I'm nervous, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, there's already a leak. Okay, thankfully so far the only complete moron is me, because I put the wrong adapter in, so hopefully I put the right adapter in and let's refill. Oh, there are days. I'm a little less fluid this time. See how that works. Okay, now I'm going to check for initial leaks. I've cleaned everything off that I screwed up. Magical sauce that makes all your problems disappear. Spray. Well, I'm going to go mix up another gallon of the stuff, or well, 2 gallons, and bring you back when everything is checked and I'm ready to fire it up. Oh, here we go. Also want to check and make sure that the heater core that I put in there is not leaking, or the fittings, so. Just about up to operating temperature. Thermostat opens. Let's go ahead and try the heat. I actually have heat. That is very, very, very cool. Very, very, very up close. It is absolutely awesome. I do have a fan running in the back to suck the exhaust out, so no worries. I doubt you're even worried, but if you are, there is something happening. Well, transmission's still saying it's over full, so when I get some gas tomorrow, I'll pull it in and out, drive it around a little bit, and then check it. Hopefully going through the gears will pump some fluid through it. It could have been over full. I don't know the capacity of the cooler and the radiator, so I don't really know, but I can worry about it right now. Just putting the finishing touches on the oil change, and I went to check the power steering, and there was no fluid in the reservoir. So I'm a little concerned. I filled it, and I don't see anything on the floor. Maybe they replaced the pump. Well, we'll find out. And when I ran it yesterday, it nothing, no whining from the pump. Let's cross my fingers. I'll set you guys up by the exhaust and let you hear the beautiful notes of the MagnaFlow exhaust and the old Borla tip I reused. Built up good oil pressure. Let's see where we're at. All right, where we want to be. Oh, I should check the power steering fluid, see if it went down at all. It didn't go down. Like I said, I'm just going to cross my fingers and hope for the best. I could get a win on this thing at some point. You never know. Well, I'm putting the contingency decals on the car, and everything is cleaned up, and kind of the final stretch, other than random things that are going to pop up and be screwed up. So, Lauren's here.
Kind of obvious.
Still, it's just fine to say to the camera there, Snotty. Say she's here for moral support, but she doesn't do that, so.
Moron support.
You said it, I didn't. I also retrimmed the front fender. Still not 100% happy with it, but it's much better than it was before. Look, they got fancy half stickers.
Is that good?
Just, about the same level as the one I have on there. Would be awesome. There you go, Chad and Peyton. Your Honest Peyton sticker has been put on by Lauren, just like I said. Much to her chagrin, because he's being videotaped. And Rescued and Restored, your sticker's on there, but you can't see it because it's in the glare of the light. I'll move it so you can see it better. What are you trying to point at? She's like, she's a cat. Well, nothing to it but to do it. we go. First time that's been out of there, and God, I don't even want to think about it. So I'm going to hazard a guess that's the first time this car is ever driven in this configuration under its own power. Apparently I'm going to have to bleed the power steering system since there was no fluid in the reservoir, and apparently now it just magically started working. So got one more thing I got to do, but I'll do that after, after this is done. It's a big deal though. This is out. It's out in the road. It's legal. I can go drive it once I fix the power steering system. I'm excited. This is a long time coming. Likely going to have to lower the rear suspension, but I will likely do that once I've driven around a bit and the rear end settles. That is really freaking tall. It needs bigger tires.
It didn't seem so tall inside.
No. It also is huge compared to the Cherokee.
Well, yeah, it's a land yacht. It's almost as long as the van.
No, I meant height-wise. Don't mind the license plate light hanging out there. I'll fix that at some point in the future. It's done, and I am extremely excited. It's been right about a year, but it's finally done, and now I have a gigantic mess to clean up. Thank you to Derek, thank you to James, thank you to Keith, thank you to Lauren, thank you to my neighbors, and thank you guys for watching. And more fun stuff coming, but now I got to clean all this crap up. We'll see the Chambler again. It'll be fun stuff, but see you next time. It's done!